Good evening, everyone. This is Joanne Chestnut coming to you from my home to yours. I wanted to do another exercise tonight. I got so much out of it yesterday that it was on my heart to do it again. Today, I wanted to make sure that I was doing something to encourage you. So I wanted to do another self reflecting exercise. Um, I don't want to do stuff that is always forcing us to look at the things that we need to correct because there are many things in us that are already great. We're already enough. We already have what it takes. We just need to smooth out those rough edges so that we get to the good part. It's like gold has to be refined so that you get to the best of it. So, we've been looking at some things we can do to better ourselves, but I want to look at what's already good inside of us. So I want to, and what doesn't need any polishing, the things that are already shining bright like a diamond, the thing you bring to the world. But I want to do a self reflection exercise to do that. So I have in front of me, it's called Building a Tree, Practicing Self Reflection. I want to show it to you. I'm going to put it in front of me and see if you can see it. This is the tree. I just wanted you to have a visual of it so that you see it before I start talking about it so it makes sense. And the basis of this is to think about what it is that you bring to the lives of others and what it is you see for yourself. What's that thing that you have that you feel good about? That thing that you know is something special for you that is just inside of you that other people are drawn to. So let's look at this. So when we start building this tree, I want to ask some questions and we're going to go from the roots of the tree all the way to the fruit, seeds, and flower. Okay? So the roots, what creates a deep sense of self in you? What are your roots? What has developed you? What do you stand on? What are the roots of you, the core, your inner self? What is it that makes you you, uniquely you? Give that some thought. You can even begin to draw a little tree for yourself. Begin to make some roots in the ground as you listen to this. Do some little drawings and put your roots in and put a name next to it. What about the ground? What feeds you as a person? So your roots are deep in the ground. See, the thing about a tree is you can see the surface of it, but you can't see how deep those roots go because it is below the surface of the ground. But your roots are only going to be as deep as the ground that you're planted in. So what's the solid ground that you're standing on? What are your principles? What do you stand on? What feeds you as a person? Sometimes the things that feed us are the things that drive us crazy at the same time. Usually things that you're really passionate about that you love can also make you frustrated if you see it out of order or you see injustice in it or you see people falling short and you want to help people get there. So what is it? What feeds you as a person? So the next thing I want to look at is the trunk. We know that the trunk holds the tree up. It's the strength. It guides the direction of the tree. What's in your trunk? What holds you up? What guides you? What's your strength? What are you really strong at? What do you have conviction about that you know this is who, if it's anything someone was to be around and say about you, they say, well, yeah, you know, this person is definitely going to say what they need to say. Oh, this person is always going to try to do the right thing. What is it that guides you in your strength? Okay, so you have your roots now. You probably have drawn your ground about now. You know what you're planted in. You got your trunk going. Let's look at the branches. What's coming out of you? How far are you going? What are your hopes and dreams and your wishes? The one thing I want to say this about this is that your branches can grow in different direction. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday. I think it may have been my daughter, and I was talking about dreams and goals and plans. And I was saying sometimes we have all these plans, and as we can see, because of the COVID virus, a lot of things that many people plan to be married in the last 3 months. Many people plan to travel. Many of us plan to vacation somewhere we've never been before. Many of us plan to graduate. And all of those plans before our eyes have just changed. But because your plan changed doesn't mean your goals change. You can have a change of plans without having a change in your goals. So what are your plans? What are your goals? What are your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations? That would be your branches. So build your branches now. What about the leaves that come off your tree? They're the components that make you whole. But leaves change. Remember, on a tree, every year the leaves fall off and they come back again. And sometimes you'll notice if there's a tree in your yard, one year it might have a little bit of leaves. The next year it's got a lot of leaves. One year they may be really brown at the fall time. The next year they may be yellow. What is the thing about you that makes you who you are, that makes you feel whole? What are in your leaves? What would it symbolize for you in your tree? How about the fruit you produce? Legacies that have been passed to you, things that your mother has left on you, things that generations of people that are important to you have left upon you, your parents' parents. What legacies have been left to you? And last but not least, your seed and flowers. Those are legacies you wish to leave to others. What legacy do you want to leave to your children? What legacy do you want to leave behind for your close friends and family? We all leave a legacy. The one thing that we get confused about is somehow we've connected legacy with monetary value or business, and that's not always legacy. Your legacy can be the spirit of love that you left behind that brings your family together over and over again. When they're in your memory, they want to come and be close. When we thought about old movies, that soul food and those type of movies, those movies were showing the legacy of the grandmother to come back to grandma's house, to come back to Big Ma's house, to have dinner. That those legacies of love and family was what brought those people back together and what bound them. That family was the ties that bound them. What are your legacies that you want to leave with your family, your friends? If you own a business or you have colleagues that you're in business with, if anything happened or changed about your life tomorrow and you couldn't walk in the door, what would you want them to constantly say about what you brought to that organization, what you brought to that business? And go ahead and build your tree. Let's see what your roots are like, what creates a deep sense of self. What is your ground like? Are you standing on a solid ground? Are you on a false foundation? What's your trunk like? What's the strength of you? Your branches, your hopes and dreams, what are they? What component makes you whole? What do your leaves look like? And how do they change and grow? What legacies have you passed on through the fruit, been passed on to you, and what do you want to pass on? And whatever those things are, I just want to say to you, start doing little stuff. That's what I'm doing. I've always loved talking to people, but more than anything, in the last 15 years from the time that I moved to Georgia, the one thing that changed about me is I really started learning the Bible, and I started developing a relationship with God. I've always known him because my mother always talked about him, and her father was a preacher, Reverend Samuel White. So I heard a lot about God and I knew who he was, but I didn't have an intimate relationship. That was Mama and them's God and Mama and them's relationship. But when I developed my own relationship, something changed in me. I wanted to feel better. I wanted to see better. I wanted to do better. And that change happened from the inside and out. And I'm still getting there all the time. The one thing I've always maintained is being me. It's real easy for me to do that, to just be myself. You can take it or leave it. And hopefully you take it. And if you don't, okay. But I've always been able to be myself. I've been blessed to have wonderful, awesome people in my life. And it's a blessing for those people who aren't so awesome as well. People who came to hurt you, people who came to sabotage, they're blessings too. Pain, destruction, stuff that has happened to you that is bad, you have to count that as a blessing too, because guess what? It taught you. It developed you. The strength you have, it was probably born out of a lot of your pain, a lot of your suffering. But the one thing you have to remember that suffering and pain does is it draws us close to God. There's times when no one else can help you but God. So all of the pain and suffering, when I'm praying, I always say, Lord, thank you for all my blessings. Thank you for all my victories. But thank you for all my tragedies, Lord. Thank you for those things that came to hurt me because they developed me and they developed my relationship with you. I just want to read a small passage in Matthew about what God thinks about us. It says, salt and light. You are the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world, a town built on a hill that cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under the bed. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So look at that. Do you realize that we are the only Bible some people will read? Ain't that something? The only thing they might ever know about God is us. So that's why you got to be careful when you start using the Lord's name. God knows. I swear to God. But we got to be careful with that. Especially when you start confessing that you love the Lord. And people be ready for you, honey. They be ready to knock you down just like they did Jesus. They be ready to persecute you. So, a lot of times I see people saying they love God so much on Facebook, and they'll talk about, Jesus and all of these. And then 2 days later, they cussing somebody else, the same mouth, blessings and curses. Now, I know we all struggle with that, but at least in public, if you're going to represent him appropriately. Don't be saying how much you love the Lord and how much God has blessed your life, but tomorrow these bees better. That's the one thing I stand for. And you'll never see none of that on Facebook from me. Because no matter what we think about that, it is still a public perception that people have of you because what you represent on there. So we can find all different kinds of ways to represent ourselves. What way are you going to choose to represent yourself? Are you the salt of the earth? Are you the light? Yes, you are. You are God's apple of God's eye. You are the salt of the earth. He put us here for that. And as I said, what is your gift? What is it that you have? Everybody has some. Some people make people laugh. Some people can really bring others together. Some people have the gift of teaching. Some people have the gift of preaching. Some people have the gift of silence and just comforting you. Some people have a good hand for sewing and creating things. Some people are great cooks. What do you have? Whatever you have, make something out of what you have. You don't need more to do something great. You don't need more because all you need is already inside of you. God already put it there. There's nothing lacking. You just got to go inside and dig for it and get it. So I urge you to go inside, build your tree, look at it, reflect on it, and say to yourself, what am I going to do different? Don't come out of this coronavirus the same. When we get to our new normal, because we ain't going back to where we were before, you can forget about that. We have to recreate ourselves and reinvent some things. And when we go back to where we were, make sure that you are doing something you wasn't doing before, or something you was doing before that you shouldn't be, that you stopping it. Just do something different in this season because we're in a new day. If you can cook, start making some plates and doing a little dinners on the side like the church used to do. Make you some food and make you a little money and feed people's soul through your plates of food if that's what you do. Do what it is that you do and be blessed for it. It don't always have to have a monetary value to it. And in fact, as a matter of fact, the word says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all else will be added to you. That means you just seek God and try to bring out the best in what you think God put in you, and he'll add something to that. He will add a super to your natural and give you a supernatural blessing. You don't need to do it for yourself. You just do what it is you do. Everybody, I have some of the most unique friends, and they all know who they are. We don't have to talk to each other every day, but when I get back on the phone with them or we get back together, it's like we never missed a beat. I have some great people in my life, and I'm thankful for it. And as I said, I'm grateful for the ones who weren't so great. And just because they weren't great for me, they don't mean that they ain't great people. They just weren't meant to go with you all along your journey. Everybody who comes ain't meant to go. So again, I hope you build your tree and find something great in it. And I hope you start a new thing in this season. This is my 15 minutes of faith. Joy Chestnut, And I hope to see you again on Monday. I only do Monday through Friday. And if it's God's will, I'll see you on Monday. Be blessed and have a good night.